My buddy Dan Wolken, we're in the 67 Cadillac that I had, and I went through the drive-thru. He's like, you should just do it. I'm like, okay, I'll take 2 chalupas. And I drove up to the window, and my friend's pointing at me. He's the real guy. And she's like, I don't care. $10.99, sir.
I'm all grown up.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is a legendary actor, voice actor, stand-up comedian, producer, writer, and skydiver with 723 jumps. At the time of this recording, he has voiced 618 different characters, many of which played a significant role in your childhood if you're a millennial. You'll recognize him as your favorite animated wallaby, as a maniacal teacher obsessed with fairy godparents, or even as a talking chihuahua who only wanted some Taco Bell. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carlos Alazraqui.
Thank you. Oh, round of applause. Yes, the skeleton behind you was actually clapping. Not that it's haunted or anything. I don't want to scare you, but I saw the hands come together. Your voice immediately reminds me of a young Phil Lamar. Sorry, Phil, you're old like me.
No, that's one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. Wow.
Yeah, I hear Phil Lamar. Wow. Tell him.
Listen, next time I have an audition, I'm gonna start off with, listen, Carlos Alazraqui told me I reminded him of a young Phil Lamar, so you might want to book me now.
Yeah.
Well, how you doing today, my man?
I'm good, trying to keep it all in order, but not bad for a Friday. I'm getting ready to go to Las Vegas to visit a friend, a neighborhood that I grew up in Northern California.
Oh, hell yeah.
Big Raider fan. I'm a 49er fan, but I said, you know what? 4 months ago, I'll meet you in Vegas. We'll go see the Raiders. I've never been to Allegiant Stadium. I co-host a show on professional sports fans. It's an app, PSF, and I host a 49er show, and so we're doing a live broadcast of our game this Sunday at 10 o'clock. So you out there, if you like voices in sports, I team up with a woman named Stephanie Sanchez and my buddy Tom McLean. And at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on the PSF app, our show is called The Irrelevance. For 3 hours, we'll be either suffering or celebrating through the 49ers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's my nerd talk. I am in animation and I do voiceovers, but if you want to nerd me out, it's all about sports.
Yo,
and those characters.
Absolutely be tuning in. I did not realize that. That's amazing.
Yeah. We're called The Irrelevance after Brock Purdy.
It's crazy that you and I have never met in person. We narrowly missed each other on set for Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder.
Uh-huh.
I was a guest star on an episode that you were not on.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
That's too bad.
But we have a lot of mutual friends. Mary Kate Wiles from Fairly Odd is a good friend.
Mary's wonderful. I'm just signing a contract for Shipwrecked Comedy, a part of their
no way
show, podcast. Yeah, I play Leary. I play a singing cowboy.
I can't wait. Everything they produce is amazing.
It's really good. They're very talented. Yeah, but singing cowboy from the 30s and 40s and the golden days of television. And he'll sing a tune every now and then like that.
Eric Bowes is a friend. Swampy Marsh is a friend. So at some point, I'm sure we'll cross paths.
Oh, good people. Yes. You've aligned yourself with fantastic people. So yes, hopefully we'll swim in the same pond very soon. Yeah. Aside from where we're swimming now, which is your podcast stuff.
Absolutely. And coincidentally, aside from both of us existing in the Fairly Odd universe, we both exist in the Big Time Rush universe. Since you were Marcos, the photographer. Yeah.
One camera, 2 cameras. I wish I had hair like that. But no.
And I was a background hopeful boy band member. It was the first extra gig I ever got when I got to LA.
Oh, that's cool. And now they can use AI, so it's too late. No, I think we won that in the settlement. Let's see. We'll see what the settlement says.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Well, how was your Halloween, man? Do you have Halloween traditions?
Well, so to speak, yeah. Stevenson rocks. Stevenson Elementary here in Burbank. There's a guy, Tim and Jeff, that set up a maze every year just for one night only. It's months and months and months of work, so we help him out setting up this maze. So we do that every year. Stevenson rocks for Halloween. My daughter does a puppet show for the Zuppeteers with a Z, Zuppeteers.
Cool.
And it's marionette puppets, so we do that. And then the following week or 5 days later, we do trick or treat. I usually hand out the candy while my daughters go out respectively with, now my daughter went out with her friend. My other daughter went with her mom and at a party, and they went trick or treating as I sat across from the street from my neighbor as we shouted, "Hey, put on some Screamin' Jay Hawkins." And I handed out treats. And usually there's a World Series game or a football game going on. And this year it was the World Series game. So that's our Halloween tradition.
Nice, man. What were your favorite Halloween memories as a kid? Do you remember?
I remember having a Casper the Friendly Ghost mask. and it was just
Yo.
this plastic thing scratching my face. But
Yes.
I didn't care because I got so much candy. Doing the mazes. I did the maze, the Fright Fest at with my daughter, my youngest daughter, and that was fun because she was really nervous. So we went on YouTube and just said Fright Fest mazes, typed it in, and then of course somebody's gone through them all.
Sure,
with a
sure.
wonderful camera, and so she knew what to expect. So that was a wonderful memory. But gosh, there's been some stuff on the road where I was doing stand-up comedy, but just being with my kids now. My youngest dressed like a sumo. The other one dressed like Nezuko from Demon Slayer a couple years ago.
Hell yeah.
Just seeing them change their costumes every year, and those are wonderful memories.
That's awesome, man. Well, Sugar Frosted Frights is on my list of specials that are like an annual tradition in this house. You know what I mean?
Well, yes, and we are going to watch Five Nights at Freddy's together.
Yes.
My older daughter watched it, didn't think it was too scary for my younger daughter, so we're going to sit down as a family and watch it at home.
Love that, man. I heard you were in the audience for the Conor McGregor Jose Aldo fight, and you won
that is true.
$600 on that fight. That's true. Okay, what an experience that must have been to be present to watch that unfold. I mean, when it first happened, it was so quick. Did you catch it?
Oh, yeah. I was watching intently because I had money on it, right? And,
Yeah.
I went with the aforementioned Tom McClane, big UFC fight guy. I just met Jimmy the Brick, too, at a con.
Oh, cool.
He's a lightweight. He's fighting in January on that card. But yeah, we went to Vegas. I went with my wife at that time. Were we married? I guess it was. It was, what year was that?
2015.
Yeah, we were married. We got a babysitter. We went with Tom, and I put money down. I just thought, yeah, he's got him psyched out. He's going to win in less than 3 rounds. I had 3 rounds or less.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was watching intently, and you could see that because of the weigh-in, because of all the trash talk, that Aldo was just like psyched out and said, I better just go for the haymaker. And yeah, you could almost see it in slow motion. It's like, oh, McGregor sees it. He sees it. He just kind of stepped to his left, then launched his own, and he's longer. So Aldo actually clips him on the chin. He gets him, but it's fun. And a wave of drunk Irish people just fell on us. We're sorry, apologize. We're like, oh, Connor, we love you, Connor. And it was amazing. The street exploded. It was wonderful. And was it that night that 2015 would have been too late. I don't know. One of the nights I saw John McCain in the sports book.
Get out of here.
When he passed, but it might have been 2015 because he made it after 2015. But I went and collected my money, and it was wonderful. It was amazing.
Wow, what a memory, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of martial arts, I heard you tell Joey Diaz that you do martial arts with your kids. Is that true?
They were involved at a place called Bully Busters, Coach Rod and Coach Kita, and they were learning.
I'm very very familiar with Bully Busters.
Yeah, they were learning the Muay Thai and the straight boxing and the jiu-jitsu for a while. And unfortunately, we were enjoying going, and they just started to spar, and then COVID hit, and then we just kind of dropped it, and we haven't gone back since. But there was a time that, yeah, they were getting into it, and we wanted to change their confidence level, to teach them some self-defense things. Which, as it turns out, when you go to middle school, unfortunately, you don't have to use it per se, but just to carry yourself better.
Oh,
so
big
no,
facts.
we haven't gone back. But we did go for about 2 years and a half.
I'm a lifelong martial artist myself. I think that's one thing that everybody, especially when you're kids, you benefit from, especially like you said, the confidence and the way you can diffuse a situation without having to escalate it,
Yeah. If somebody grabs you from behind you, you're going to turn towards them, push them away, get away.
Yeah.
You can't be ready for certain things, but it definitely you can have a sense of preparedness that. Because I remember Riley was sparring, and they were only supposed to hit in the chest, no head hits. And
yeah.
This girl popped her in the nose, just bap, and her immediate reaction was to go forward after her and go get her, and they had to break it up. And once they broke it up, she started crying, and we're like, fine, but it was great. Your natural response was, I got popped, I'm going at this person,
Yep.
And it was a learning point. I remember Joey Diaz's daughter Mercy was sparring and just got whacked in the ribs with a Muay Thai kick. And she kind of finished the round and then again just started crying. It was like, yeah, I would cry. That was a hard kick.
Yeah.
But, so it was teaching them, you respond, you do what you need to do. And then if you want to cry, just take it in the restroom, go cry. No shame in that.
Not at all.
It hurts. but let's try to carry yourselves right here in the moment, you know? And so all that stuff, you know, as you know, it helps you be ready.
Absolutely, man. Is it true that you once sat next to Beyonce on a flight?
It is true. Reno 911, Miami, and I believe it was on the way there as opposed to the way back. I think it was the way there. No, it was the way back. We're loading the plane in Miami. I'm in first class in the very last row. And a big, huge guy comes on first, just a big body mount, a bouncer type guy, what do you call them?
Security guard?
Security guard.
Bodyguard, yeah.
Bodyguard, yeah. And the flight attendant says, "Can you step out of your aisle to allow this passenger to get in?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And it was a young woman, straight hair, kind of strawberry blonde, and let her sit in. And I said, "Hello, hello." And she put a blanket over her head and just slept. And people kept coming up to me like, "Can I get this person's autograph? Can you hand this magazine?" I'm like, "What's going on?" And somebody said, "That's Beyonce." I'm like, "Oh, well, no, I'm not going to wake her up." And as the flight was landing, I just introduced myself. I said, "People wanted me to wake you up," but I just told them, "No, I wouldn't wake you." And at that point, she was doing Dream Girls, the play.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I said we were doing Reno 911, and she was very nice, and that was it. You know, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
That's amazing. Did she happen to know your voice from Rocko?
No, I didn't discuss any of that. I just said we're doing a little thing called Reno 911. I wasn't sure at that point she was aware of the show, but that was my little sit next to Beyonce moment.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Let's take it back a little bit. You were living in San Francisco doing stand-up, and you got a call to submit a demo for Rocko. Your manager, Tracy, knew a guy named Marty McNamara who was helping Joe Murray produce Rocko, and you recorded on a cassette tape. Was this circa 1991?
This was the 90s, 91. Yeah, I was at a gig at Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento where I had been a house MC for a couple of years at least. And made a tape in my buddy's kitchen, sent it in. Tracy got me the audition. House near Sutro Towers, big long line of people, no agent, no nothing.
Yeah.
Right voice, right place, right time, you know? They didn't want Australian. They didn't want anything to do with Australia. So we were trying like a Bruno Kirby type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, "Hey, my name is Rocko. What's going on? What are you yelling? Yeah, I'm a wallaby. You know, I got a pouch. I'm a marsupial."
And then, as legend has it, as I've told in other podcasts, I picked up a vacuum manual.
And I just saw these kind of a long... Can you see him? He's kind of behind me, right?
I can.
It's got that long snout with the teeth right here. And I just thought... when you're plugging in your unit, make sure you're not near water. When you want to clean it, make sure it is unplugged.
And they're like, "Oh, that sounds kind of good." And so we did it. We laid it down. Nickelodeon liked it. We made a pilot at Poolside Studios on Lombard's at Steiner, right by Mel's Diner. And then I was on the road at the Last Laugh in Seattle and got a pager. I went to the payphone and they said, "Yeah, we're going to series." So started flying out of Oakland to Burbank like once a week, and until January of '94, decided let's move to LA. Let's take this thing on the over to Los Angeles. So that was it. That was the start.
So at the time when you got the call, were the original 3 Nicktoons were on the air like freshly, probably Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy. Were you aware of their success? And so
Yes.
okay, so this when you got the call, it was exciting. It was like, oh shit, this could be a big deal.
It could be a big deal. And I had remember meeting Billy West at a con. He had come in to be a guest of Alex Bennett Radio in San Francisco.
Yeah.
When I was a comic. And I met him, and I knew it was a big deal because I had auditioned for when Chris Falusi was going to leave the job as the voiceover person for Ren.
Yeah.
I went to LA and went to the Spumco building and auditioned.
Oh,
I was
no
so
way.
green. Stimpy, you idiot, you worm. I was so scared, so green. And then, I'm on the road, and when they said this was going to series, I was so happy because I didn't love being a road comic.
Right.
I was so happy that, yes, I'm going to be able to get off the road. I was excited, and I knew, and I called agents, cold called them, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm in oh, yeah, that person's busy. Well, I just wanted to say I'm got the lead role in Rock. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hi. It was that kind of power.
Yeah.
And then in '93, I won the San Francisco stand-up comedy competition.
Yep.
Mark Maron and Patton Oswalt were famously in the competition. Richard Kearns and Stephen B. rounded it out. And it was great. I had those two things. And in '94, I moved to L.A., and Rocko was already going. I had the competition. I was Flavor of the Month, on camera-wise. I got these big agents. I got Connie Tavo, who was Helen Hunt's manager. I was taken to Castle Light. I met Rob Reiner. And all these things. I was literally the Flavor of the Month, and then it just kind of went away, but voiceover sustained itself.
Yeah.
and kept going. So
When you started voicing Rocko and you were flying back and forth, was the decision at that point to remain in NorCal and to fly back and forth, was it financial? Was it because you weren't too positive if the whole thing was going to take off? Like, for what reason did you want to do that?
I think a couple of things. I had more comfort in San Francisco. We had just bought a house. My brother and I bought a house together. I just got a cat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh God, I'm not really ready to do this.
Yeah.
So let me stay here. I like it here. I can fly in. I can still audition. I have a voiceover agent in San Francisco still. So I'm okay here. I don't think one cartoon's going to be enough to move.
Sure.
But with Rocko and with the competition money, half of which went into an investment, I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Things were tracking more by then.
Well, I want to point out to our listeners, because and you'll tell me if this is true, because this is what I've read on the internet, that you winning that competition at 93 was really like a Rocky style underdog story, because 4 years ago you didn't make it out the first round.
I don't think so. I think I finished 39th or something like that, or maybe even lower, and I didn't make it. And I just went, you know what? I'll try it again.
Yeah.
And you know, and I went on Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, maybe 5-10 years ago, and he's like, man, you won that night, man. How do you feel about that? He was still burnt about it. I'm like, I don't know. You guys were better comics. I always thought you and Patton were better stand-up comedians, but I was a better performer, and I had a really great set.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I won. You know, big deal. You just interviewed Obama. I think you're doing okay. You know, you're fine.
Things worked out as they should.
Yeah, you're fine. And yeah, it was a wonderful night. My dad was there.
Wow.
Marines Memorial Theater. Where was it? I don't know. It was in San Francisco in a beautiful theater, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful night.
Is it true that directly after winning that, you got a bunch of calls from
like
agents
73
and
phone calls from agents and managers, like old style answering machine. Call me, please call me. I don't know if you ever saw the big picture with Kevin Bacon, who plays the character Nick Chapman, and makes a video of Pez dispensers with shopping carts on a roof, and all of a sudden he's getting all these phone calls. Everybody wants him, and that was it. That was that type of fervor, and you know, what do you do with that? It was so exciting. My life was going to change. You know, I'm going to be a big star, and that's what you know. And I became a medium star. You know, and after all these years, it's just the right fit. It's the right fit. You know, things happen as they happen.
That term is subjective, because I'm sure you'll see when you go to cons, and to somebody like me, you're not a medium star. You're a big star, and you're a significant part, you know, of the nostalgia I feel in my heart. And so you're a huge deal to me and so many people.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I found that out with Spyro the Dragon, the original Spyro. You know, PS1 game. I was working with our good buddy Clancy Brown. You know, at that time I had just seen Shawshank Redemption, and we're standing in this booth side by side.
That's crazy.
I can't believe I'm working with Clancy Brown. But
Yeah, kind of a nothing voice. You know, I'm Spyro the Dragon. Watch out for Nasty Nork. He's toast.
and you know, I thought nothing of it. And then maybe it was 5-6 years ago, somebody said, "Why don't you have your Spyro stuff out?" I'm like, I don't know. Dude, that game is my life. I started with Spyro. We love Spyro.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Kenny was Spyro, Jess Harnell, Elijah Wood. You know, there's so many Spyros. But no, the original Spyro, dude. And so you find out that people have reverence for it. They really spent many hours. And I've told this story, too, when I didn't know how my voice is meant to people. I was talking to Dee Baker and Fred Tatasciore. I stink at video games. I only know how to play Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2. And Fred goes, I'm Boomer. And Dee goes, I'm the Joker. I'm the Spitter. And I'll be like, I lost my mind. I'm like, no way. Oh, my God. I fanboyed out. I lost control because I had spent so many hours with that game.
Yeah.
And I felt that they were my friends or my enemies or whatever. And so I get it now. I get it that you're somebody's big deal, even if the game is 25 years old, right? 25-year anniversary. Rocko's 30 years old.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool. I had a recent story that's relative to Reno 911 too.
Yeah.
That I work out at a gym where Jesse Plemons works out. Wonderful actor. He's been
Cool.
on
Yeah.
everything. You know. Oh God, the Crystal Meth series. This movie. That
Breaking
movie.
Bad.
The movie that just came out, the Killers of the Flower Moon. You know, I talked to him and his trainer, and every once in a while I wanted to speak to him because I liked his work, and I just said, hey, another actor friend of mine played your rapist guy in Friday Night Lights. I don't know if you remember that scene. His name is Matt McTighe. Do you remember an actor named Matt? He goes, no, I just remember we put him through the ringer, man. That's for sure. And I'm like, oh, okay. I just wanted to ask. He's like, hey, I just want to say Reno 911, man. I'm like, what? Huh?
Wow.
He knows what I do, and that was one of those, I guess what you do kind of is a big deal to people. Like there's a big star that kind of knew what I did. I had no idea. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Wow. And now I get to say hello, and it's kind of neat, I got some street cred, I guess, So
Hell yeah, man.
It feels flattering when somebody likes your voiceover. Tom Kenny tells the story of Mike Tyson. SpongeBob, boy, I just wanted to meet the voice of SpongeBob because I love it. And you're like, yeah. We do this animation and we think it's kind of trite and silly, but people really love it.
Factual, man. Well, speaking of Tom Kenny, you guys met in San Francisco. You ended up recommending him for the voice of Heifer. So when that came up in conversation, was there something specific about Tom's voice and his style that made you think he's perfect for Heifer? Or was it more like, yo, that's my boy, and if there's an opportunity, let me slide him in there?
A little of both, because we weren't super close, but I knew him from stand-up, and just the sweetest guy.
Yeah.
Born a week apart, actually.
Oh, wow.
He's 1 week older than I am. Old man. I just knew what a kind of a talent he was. Musically, comedically, acting, everything. And I loved his stand-up. I was a big fan, and I just have you guys... Do you know a guy named Tom Kenny? I think he would be great. You should really try him. And I didn't know he had the Heifer voice in him. And I came to learn that it was a nephew that he had that would kind of laugh like that. Huh? Yeah, it's really funny. And he said, I just threw that voice in the mix, and they loved it. And of course, he's so gifted that he could have done anything they asked. And yeah, and he said that publicly, like, I guess I owe Carlos Alazraqui 10% of my career. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Give me that SpongeBob, buddy. But no, so it was more just not like I need to look out for him. Like I know professionally, and I still do that. I still recommend people that I think if I'm not right or you're looking for somebody, there's this person you got to take a look at. So
sure.
It was the case where I just thought he's great. You gotta. I don't know if you know this guy, but you should take a look at this person.
That's amazing, man. Well, I'm a big believer in helping people out that way too. So that's beautiful, man. Would you personally consider the way that we do? Would you consider Rocko to be like the most prolific voice of your career?
Con-wise, yeah. I think animation-wise, con-wise, because Mr. Crocker is probably a close second.
Yeah.
But Rocko's older.
Yeah.
And there's more reverence, I think, for a character that's sweet and helped define the 90s, along with the three that you mentioned.
Sure.
So Rocko is the premier and my favorite because it was my first,
Yeah, yeah.
And from Rocko came Spyro,
all in the same adenoidal area.
Yeah.
Laszlo, a little bit, hey, Scoutmaster Lumpus.
Yeah.
Maybe Winslow, too. You just pitch Winslow, hey, cat dog.
So he allowed other voices to come along. So, yeah, and just the way people respond to Rocko, he's so sweet. He's a Winnie the Pooh character,
Yeah.
Speaking of great voices, Jim Cummings, right? He is just everybody's pal.
Sure.
He's who you want to be. He's scared, a little nervous. It mirrored my experience as a voice actor moving to L.A., all the suits watching in the first couple of episodes of Rocko going,
oh my gosh, I hope they like me.
I really felt like Rocko. So, yeah, I think Rocko gets the most love, and deservedly so.
Even from Robin Williams.
Yeah. You know the story at Cobb's Comedy Club, watching, I think, Dana Gould at the time on stage, and hear this voice from behind me. You're the voice of Rocko. My daughter loves Rocko. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Robin Williams.
Incredible.
Who we would later get to work on with Happy Feet, both Happy Feets in 2006. And then 2009, we went to Australia, and just a wonderful, beautiful human being. And him and George Miller, the nicest guys in the world. No pretense, no tears of I'm a celebrity. They just were so warm to everybody. Elijah Wood was the same.
Wow.
Hank Azaria came there the next time. But yeah, so to get that kind of comment at a comedy club, knowing that who Robin was, it really was the predecessor to the Jesse Plemons comment about Reno. You don't know that people that are way more famous than you know what you do, and so it's pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing. And then to work on Happy Feets with him and going out and doing stand-up comedy with Jeff Garcia every night. And one night Robin says, hey, can I come along? And we're like, yes, please come. And everybody came. And Gary Eck is a comedian. He was the writer on Happy Feet 2. And we had this night at the Sugar Mill. And Elijah was there. And my friend Lombardo Boyar, a great actor, just decided, I'm going to try stand-up for my very first time in Australia. All right, go for it, Lombardo. And then Robin came up at the end. It was a magic night. It was unbelievable.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, nothing was stirring. Not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care. As he drove out of sight. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, good night.
I've heard you say that the Christmas episode of Rocko is one of your favorites, and mine as well. You can't squeeze cheer from a cheese log. And as I watch it every year for the season, but it's crazy as an adult to see how that episode was so deep for an animated Christmas special. I mean, because it addresses like racism and stereotypes, and wow, man, just like what a message you walk away with it.
Yeah, right. Because as I recall, it's so vague to me, and that's this little elf that's just an outsider, and nobody is afraid of him. They're weird, and
Rocko's like, we're your neighbors, we're your friends.
Yeah,
You can come and hang out with us.
is basically the message. It's like Rocko doesn't care.
Yep.
And it's the same message as when Ralph turns into Rachel, you know?
yeah,
Guys, I'm no longer Ralph. I'm Rachel.
yeah.
Okay, can you help us make the fatheads?
Perfect response, you know?
Yeah, we were talking about Spyro earlier. I need to verify this. It says on your IMDb trivia, but I've never been able to find another source, that you auditioned for the role of Super Mario and were beat out by Charles Martinet. Is that true?
You know, if it's true, I forgot about it, and thank goodness I was, because Charles Martinet is the man, you know? Wahoo, it's a Mario. You are number one. You are number one. He did a voiceover for my daughters before we went to see the Mario movie. I said, I want you to see, even though he has a cameo in the film, I want you to see who the original Mario is, what he looks like, what he sounds like, and what a nice person he is. And if that's true, I don't remember auditioning. I certainly auditioned for all the SpongeBob characters and was, quote unquote, beat out by Tom and Patrick and oh my gosh, Squidward, White Roger, and Doug and all those guys. But got to do some guest roles. But yeah, I don't remember auditioning for Mario. And certainly Charles I don't think he could have been beat, you know? He's just the guy.
Absolutely.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
So shortly after you did Spyro, if I'm not mistaken, you had to drive from Burbank to West LA for a 4-word audition with Terry Berland that you thought was going to be a waste of time, but it turned out to be a life-changing opportunity.
They were looking for that voice, right, of this commercial, and it's Friday, it's 4 o'clock, and it's, what is it? My agent's like, yeah, you should go. It's a good audition. I've been looking, they just can't find it, so why don't you check it out? Oh, what is it? Yo quiero Taco Bell to Chihuahua? This is dumb. Anybody could do this. I'll go. And I got there, and I started to do the typical old Warner, you know, yo quiero. And Terry's like, nope. Everybody's been doing that. That's not what I want to hear. We don't want to go that direction. Use your own voice. Yo quiero Taco Bell. My parents are from Argentina. I can pronounce Spanish. Just do it a little deeper. Yo quiero Taco Bell. Okay, good, but whatever, bye. What a waste of time.
Yeah.
And then about a week later, they said they're going to make a demo. They liked it. Okay. Show up at the demo, and they're like, hey, man, we liked what you did. What I want you to add. And Joey Diaz, speaking of Joey Diaz, we discussed this on his podcast. He's the guy sitting in the chair.
Yeah, so crazy.
I was like, what? That was you?
That was me, Carlos.
Yeah. So they just go, just say it like it's your barrio and you're like the boss. Okay, psst, yo quiero Taco Bell. Yeah, we like it. Let's go. Thank you very much for coming. All right, yay, we did a demo. And then they go, hey, they're going to book it as a commercial now. Great, I got a commercial. And then it's like, we're going to do another one. And we're going to do another one. And people really like it. And we did them in Spanish, too, you know.
Yeah.
Este nave no puede ir más rápido. Can't this boat go any faster? You know, and I just started doing them. And then I get invited to this and Hollywood Squares. And it was just surreal. It was surreal how it took off because I didn't think it was that much of a voice, right? It's just like, here, lizard. I think I need a bigger box. But it was the character, it was the dog, it was the positioning and the camera work. And
that was the Godzilla crossover, right?
yeah, I think I need a bigger box.
Yeah.
Playing against type is what it was, right?
Right.
And Terry Berland was smart. She cast it properly. And I've thanked her in books and podcasts and properly so. You know, if not for her, I don't think it happens. It doesn't happen.
You said that role bought you a house in the Valley, bought you an Audi TT.
Yep. 2 Vespa scooters, 2 classic scooters, too, a 51 and a 63. I still have the 63.
Wow, that's amazing, man. So that leads me to believe, if this is something that you don't mind discussing, and I guess it's a little bit relevant now from what we all just went through, but that leads me to believe that this was paying way more than any work you were doing before. Is that correct?
Yeah, at that point, that was the highest paying, grossing single job, yeah. and it was merchandise deals and everything.
Yeah, the merchandise went crazy with that. Did you got paid to voice the stuffed dogs and stuff as well, right? Like
all except the one that sings, which was Cesar from Los Lobos. Chances are I wear a silly grin the moment you come into view. That was Cesar. So all except for those. Yeah. Rao. Feliz Navidad, amigos.
do you still have any of the stuffed chihuahuas?
I got a couple. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, like then what were you making per episode on Rocko, for example?
I don't remember. I think it was old SAG money, which was pretty good. So it might have been like as high as $1,500 an episode.
Right. Okay.
Ironically lower now.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good.
That's legit. Yeah.
Yeah, as a guy that was as a stand-up comic that was making $1,500 a week on the road, minus travel, minus plane tickets and expenses. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. I heard you say once that you did the Taco Bell voice at a drive-through window at the behest of one of your homies, and nobody cared.
My buddy Dan Wolken, we're in the '67 Cadillac that I had, and I went through the drive-through. He's like, "You should just do it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take two chalupas." And I drove up to the window, and my friend's pointing at, "He's the real guy," and she's like, "I don't care, $10.99, sir." Didn't matter, but I did it.
If you'd have had Gidget with you, then maybe you would have gotten a reaction.
I would have gotten it. Very close to happening in a similar situation in Studio City Subway Sandwich. I was standing behind Dan Castellaneta, and I'm like, "Hey, Dan, how's it going?" And I'm like, I want to out him so much.
Yeah.
I want him like, guys, this is Homer Simpson right here. You have no idea. And I did it. I did the right thing.
Nice. So the Taco Bell thing ended up being an extremely interesting situation. Obviously, but just to recap for the viewers, a couple of guys in Michigan who had an ad agency called Wrench Agency. They sued Taco Bell. They said that it was their idea. Taco Bell took it to a different ad agency, and those guys won. They won about like $30-something million. And that was a double L for Taco Bell, because then they sued the second ad agency saying like, I think you guys should be liable for this. And the judge was like, no, it's on you, Taco Bell. So
it's on you. Yeah. And so ended the campaign,
that's what I was going to ask you. Was that the official reason that they were like, okay, no more? Is that what they said?
I'm going to guess that, a lot of thought that it was the protests against the Latino voice for a Chihuahua dog and all this kind of stuff. But that was light compared to the lawsuit. So
right.
I think it really was the lawsuits. Anytime you get into that kind of trouble. And their claim was that it wasn't selling the food, it was selling the merchandise. But
right.
I don't think they've done a spot that's been that iconoclastic since. They've done, the fourth meal and Across the Border and this and that. And Josh Duhamel, I always want to say Duhamel, but I think it's Josh Duhamel, right? Duhamel, yeah. Duhamel. They've done all that kind of stuff. But it never has. And maybe it was the time. Maybe it was the 90s with Clara Peller going, "Where's the beef?" And me going, "Yo quiero Taco Bell." Maybe it was the time. But neither place has really done a spot that really matches it.
I would have to agree. Did you come back for the Geico crossover in 2002?
Yes,
you did. Okay, thank God.
Talking gecko.
That commercial is amazing. Best crossover in commercial history, probably.
I thought so.
What was your mindset in that era in terms of like, you got to LA and once the voiceover stuff started, it was going super well for you, even though it wasn't necessarily originally your goal. And so now you're here in LA, you're kind of killing it. What were your personal goals? Did you still have very serious on-camera goals? Did you have particular voiceover goals where you just like, I'm just going to see how far this takes me and what else I can accomplish? Or like, what were you envisioning for down the line, if at all?
Well, as a gold panner, I was trying to dip my pans into all kinds of rivers, right? I got the Stephanie Miller on-camera show on UPN. I was a sketch player with Karen Maruyama, who directs the black version now, live at the Groundlings in L.A. James Stevens III was the other comedian. We were the regulars. I was on the Paramount lot. I was loving it. It was my version of Saturday Night Live, where I did all kinds of characters and impressions, from Johnny Carson to Charles Manson to Woody Allen to Kato Kalin, who I know now from the gym. So I wanted that to lead to something. I wanted that to be my SNL ticket to other things, to movies and sitcoms. And I did a couple. I did Men Behaving Badly. I played a Scottish cab driver on that. Later on, I did some CSI stuff, but I never thought that voiceover would be its equal. I won't jump too far ahead because we know what I previously talked about, the guy with glasses playing a fake cop. But, I was just trying to get it all going. But voiceover was there. It was there. It was really serving me well. And I said, why not just keep doing both?
Yeah.
And now, where I am today, voiceover is 90% of what I do.
Yeah.
And I love it, you get often to do certain things, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. Like one was a play recently, and I can't do a play schedule because I want my voiceover stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, plays are fascinating, and if it kind of worked out, it was a smaller role, maybe, but yeah, Stephanie Miller lasted 13 weeks, and that ended. And then I was doing a little bit of voiceover, and then I was working at her radio show, like KLOS on Fairfax,
right.
where it intersects La Cienega, and I was making $1,000 a week doing political radio sketches, and that's in '97 is when the Taco Bell came along, and that catapulted me all the way to 2000.
Yeah.
And then I sort of tapered off a little bit, and then came this audition. I don't want to bury your lead, but yeah, I was doing both pretty regularly, but not enough where I thought I was set.
Got you.
That was too funny. You are hilarious.
You mentioned earlier, of course, you did read for the major characters on SpongeBob, and obviously it worked out the way that it should have, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you did end up playing a fan favorite, Scooter.
Yeah, what's up? We just he recently came back in a new episode. All right, rock on. And I talked to Tom Kenny recently. And I go, I get a sense, Tom, that Hillenburg really never dug that voice. He's going, yeah, Steve never really wanted to hit the nail on the head with the dude stuff.
No way.
He didn't really love it, even though the seagulls were like, what's up in the movie?
Yeah.
I think that character for him, I could always sense that he said, okay, since it's Carlos, I'll let him do it. But I don't know. And I think Tom confirmed that, yeah, it wasn't a favorite of Hillenburg's, but because it was me, it was like, it was cool. But yeah, high tide, dude. Scooter, all right. But I go to cons and people really like Scooter a lot.
Yeah, I mean, me and my sister used to do that voice to each other all day long. Scooter was our favorite.
And I've said publicly, I give credit to Mike Pace, stand-up comedian, who I kind of borrowed that style from because he used to surf. Hey, Pace, man, meet you out on the beach. All right, what's up? And there was a guy, Dave, I forget his last name, that used to work at Candlelight Liquors with me, who would laugh like, So I kind of combined both, and I go, all right, high tide.
That's amazing, man. Did you ever watch the little featurette they have on the official SpongeBob channel about Scooter's dark secret?
No.
I gotta send you a link. It's because it's about like how, you know, in the Bubble Buddy episode he dies, right? But then he just comes back. So there's a little documentary like exploring, you know, he faked his death, and there's a whole conspiracy theory.
Oh man, like a little Andy Kaufman thing.
Yeah.
Did it? I was in the Philippines with Andy Kaufman.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved.
Speaking of auditions that didn't pan out, you said that you auditioned for the role of a hairdresser on Entourage once?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I did. I wasn't allowed to. And I think that eventually went to Gene Pompa. I was on Reno and I couldn't rap on time and I couldn't make the audition.
Oh, man, that sucks.
You know, I think that when he seen my ballpark, you know, I could have done well, but I think it went to my friend Gene Pompa, who's wonderful. But no, I never got to do it. And that would have been great, you know, to be on just a guest on an HBO series. But that didn't happen. I was on set on Reno that day.
Sad. Well, at least you were doing Reno.
Right.
Peter, I am appalled. Your negligence has damaged this company's reputation. You're fired!
Ah, jeez, for how long?
You were Mr. Weed on Family Guy, and although that didn't last as long as you might have liked, it is where you met Butch Hartman because you replaced him as Mr. Weed. He was Mr. Weed in the pilot. That's the butterfly effect, man, because that's like Bryan Cranston and Vince Gilligan, right? Bryan Cranston does a episode of The X-Files that Vince Gilligan wrote, and 10 years later, that's why he becomes Walter White.
I think you're right. Yeah, that serendipitous chaos in working in your favor, you know, where Butch remembered me. And my first voice for Butch was Billy Crystal back when I didn't do Billy really well. And you probably have knowledge that I do a lot of Billy Crystal sound-alike stuff since 2001 or whatever. But yeah, it was Billy Crystal, and he kind of sounded like that. Hey, come, we're having a ball. And I got in the door that way, and then he just had this character that he was going to pitch for another series. He tells the story and just thought, why don't I shove him in and play Timmy's teacher? And we kind of coached each other and came together. And I famously have said that I'm going to steal from the best. So Crocker is definitely Harry Shearer's Montgomery Burns, pitched up and a little bit more manic. Right? Smithers' revenge is a dish best served cold. Hello, brown shoes. And so you've got a little bit of that, but higher up like this. And then you've got Richard Dreyfuss. This is a shark that's killing people. And then you've got Sedative. You're not evil, you're good. And then you mix them all together and you get Timmy Turner. I know what you're thinking. Very good, birds. So it was a blend of
Incredible.
all those three, and it just, Butch loved the craziness. The neck, the ears were on the neck. He's all hunched over. And so, yeah, this is what I'm bringing to Crocker. And Butch is like, good, turn it to 11 all the time. Mother, good, fairies.
Did you voicing it that way inspire his animation or vice versa?
I don't know. I think I would, if I did it right, like, no, Timmy, I know what it is. Yeah, very good, birds. So maybe he saw that and said, let me bring that more animated out. I don't remember it being drawn that way, so maybe he did it from my acting.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. The first time that you met Butch, was the circumstance that like you show up to set on Family Guy and then he was just there and he was like, oh, dude, I used to play the guy that you're playing now?
Yeah, it was on Pico and Bundy. It was a little studio on Purdue, and I like, hey, Carlos, I'm Butch Hartman. I guess you're replacing me. All right, that's good. You're Latino, so that's the way it goes. And I just remember it being very cordial and very friendly, and I didn't think he would remember me from that. I knew he was Butch's friend, and they worked together at Hanna-Barbera, but I was flattered that he did remember me. So, yeah, it was a very friendly encounter. It was no kind of tension at all. So I'm like, oh, okay, they called me in. I'm just going to try a voice here.
Yeah.
I had done a general voice. I had met Linda Lamontagne, the casting director, through the stand-up comedy competition, and we actually ended up going through our AFF skydiving lessons together. She wasn't able to go through all of them, and I continued skydiving. I don't anymore. I quit at 723 jumps, but I know you mentioned that in the intro. I stopped in 2010, but I continued to be a skydiver. But I had met Linda Lamontagne. I did a general with her. I was Latino. They wanted Mr. Weed to sort of sound Portuguese or in that neighborhood, maybe Portuguese Brazilian, as opposed to Portuguese Portugal. But apparently that's a big population in Connecticut. So I came as close as I could with a South American thing. Peter, you're fired. And that was the right voice.
Why did you quit skydiving, by the way?
Family, kids. We had a couple of friends pass away from skydiving as well. That were people that had over 20,000 jumps. And we thought, experienced jumpers. One was cliff diving in proximity flying in Switzerland.
Yeah.
The other one was a regular on a big wave jump, relative flying. This guy with another guy, both experienced, tangled over the drop zone. And they knew this landing area. Thousands of times they've jumped this landing area. And it was just one of those things.
That's so tragic, man.
So we got all we got from it. And we're like, we're good.
Yeah.
We did all we can do. We're not going to become professionals. We're not going to be sponsored. So we're good. And do I miss it? Yeah, I miss jumping out of the back of a sky van and, all those things. You can go in the skydiving tunnel and kind of approximate it, but nothing matches that speed and height and adrenaline as jumping out of a plane. But I'm good. I still get to ride a motorcycle every once in a while.
You did have like a little bit of a close call once too, didn't you?
Yeah, a couple close calls. I had one reserve ride on jump 336, low speed malfunction, spinning in a spiral. Couldn't bicycle kick out of it. Had to chop the main, and the reserve popped out. And then just a really hard landing at Taft, California, where I kind of just got cut off on a landing, and I had to pull the front riser loop just to try to get a turn in, and just smack the ground. And they came running out after me, and I'm like, I think I'm okay. And then my legs swelled up, but I didn't break anything, so I got lucky.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
It was fun. It's wonderful. I really love that past. I did skydiving with a guy who's now a pilot, a commercial airline pilot, called Jumping Into Nothing. It's a balloon jump. And also Fountain of Flight, you can look up, where I did a series of jump skydives where I played a secret agent guy jumping through a hoop. I did some free flying in my tie-dye shirt. So there's a couple of videos of me online still of skydiving. They're out there. Balloon jump and Fountain of Flight. Admit it, you have very good parents.
I heard you say once that you run into Maurice LaMarche at the gym.
Oh, yeah, Mo and I were. His trainer, though, Brian, moved to further out, so I don't see Mo as much anymore, but weekly I would talk to Mo.
You guys ever encourage each other as Rocko and Brain?
Oh, yeah. There's a video on my Instagram of Crocker and the Brain. Hey, with your brains and my brains, we could take over. No, I don't think that's possible. His freaking Orson Welles is amazing, but we would just try to do some voices in the gym and try to cut up a little bit. But he's a wonderful, nice Canadian man.
Hell yeah. During the period, let's say, starting from Rocko all the way through, 90s and early 2000s, while you were starring on all these cartoons that were so prolific, What stuff were you watching, and what stuff, if at all, like, what was the kind of things that, like, obviously you were working a lot, but when you had the time, were you watching other cartoons to see what was going on? And even not cartoons, like what type of stuff were you consuming? What were your favorite shows?
Yeah, as always, sports, because I'm a sports nerd. But I remember Tom McCracken stuff, Foster's Home for Wayward Children, all the stuff on Cartoon Network that was sort of related. SNL still. Mr. Show, those types of shows for sketch comedy. I don't know that I was watching sitcoms per se. I think around that time, The Office, the British Office, had started. So those types of shows. But animation-wise, I don't recall. I don't even really watch my own stuff. So there's not a lot of animation that I watch. It was as a kid, for sure. That's the foundation. But as an adult, it was more sports and Dateline and Forensic Files, Mr. Show, like I said, stuff like that, and a little bit of Cartoon Network stuff. McCracken stuff is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
So I would watch that.
Why don't you watch your own stuff?
I don't know. Because I don't. Animation is okay for me. I like sports, especially now with kids. Like today on Apple TV, I'm going to watch Seattle versus Dallas. I'm a LAFC supporter, so I want to know what's going on in that game. I'm not going to watch the Clippers because they made the wrong move with James Harden, and I get mad. I don't know. I like The Iron Giant. I love that movie. Was coming out in theaters, so I saw The Iron Giant. I thought it was fantastic. Made me cry.
Yeah.
I love Hayao Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli. I love all that stuff. I love Song of the Sea. That 4-country studio. I love Wolfwalkers. All that stuff, but yeah, once I record it, it's just kind of out there, and I figure it's out there. I kind of know what happened, and I never get to it. I know I just can't get to it. And if it's something my family wanted to watch, like my daughters don't want to watch Rocko, they don't want to watch anything I did.
I was going to ask that.
Idea. Maybe we can watch the Christmas Cheer episode because we're looking for things to watch for Christmas.
Yeah, you should. Well, you can do a double whammy because since it's still November, there's a great Thanksgiving episode of Rocko. You could get them both in.
I think you're right. So yeah, I don't know, but I don't watch. I've been on Rick and Morty. I've been on Archer. I've been on all these shows, and I just don't sit down to watch them. I'm so privileged to be on them. I love being on them. But my first love animation was my first love after school. It took care of me, right? With parents working. But now I love sports because it's a wonderful distraction. I love Stephen A. Smith and First Take and Get Up with Mark Greenberg and Mike Greenberg. It's a comfort to me. I love sports. It's my comic books.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that there's any animated show that I actually watch right now. I don't think so. Not even adult primetime animation.
Do you watch? You mentioned your kids earlier. I know your daughter's a voice actor as well.
Star Trek Prodigy, I watch.
Okay.
Coming out December 25th. In December, I think it's Christmas Day. It is December of 2023.
Nice.
On Netflix.
Amazing.
First season and the second season will come out. That's a great show because I really wanted to support and follow the canon of the show. I grew up with the 60s version and would watch occasionally, but I was never a Trekkie. I was never a Star Wars guy. The only sci-fi I love, inside and out, is Blade Runner. But yeah, I do love Star Trek Prodigy. I think it's a great cast. I think it's a wonderful show. So yeah, that I watch. We sit down and watch together.
Did she get into voice acting because she was like, I want to be like Dad, or how did it come about?
I don't know. We were at a commercial acting workshop with my friend Scott Parkin, who has the Parkin Space. If you look on his Instagram, Parkin, Parkin Space in Venice. He taught the girl Piper, who is now the lead in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, hell yeah.
So he was really good for the kids. We used to go to the beach, Venice Beach, and they would goof around. He's like, you should take my class. So Austin and Riley took his class and freed them up. But yeah, I'm always doing voices around the house. Mom's really funny. And I guess it kind of rubbed off. She did some acting, and Austin was in The Shrink Next Door and got to do a scene with Will Ferrell. They've both done commercials together, Rocket Mortgage commercial, and they just kind of fell into it. But they got good heads about it. For them, it's a hobby, something that they'll do, but they don't want to be on a series. They don't want to be series regulars or anything like that. They're like, yeah, we'd love to audition for parts. If a movie comes along, that'd be wonderful. But we like our life. We like playing softball and volleyball and our friends in school. And so it's been a healthy approach to acting. But Riley just had the audition, and they were looking at adults, other people, other famous people, and she went in and was just solid. she's really grown up. And at 8 years old, she booked Rock Talk. And
Yeah, that's
they've
crazy.
loved the character so much, they've allowed Rock Talk to age naturally. So it's not a situation where she'll grow out of the voice. The Rock Talk will age along with her. So she's just really nailed that role. The sweetness, the toughness, the smartness. I don't know. She got it from me, I guess. Maybe Mom. It just kind of happened innately. So, well, I'm a proud papa.
I love it, man. I love it. If you could bring back just one thing from the 90s, what would it be?
Oh, gosh, the 90s. You know, if we're saying Bill Clinton, those times, I know that politically speaking, and when you said heaviness, right, that the administration wasn't perfect.
Sure.
You know, not everybody could be taken care of in the way that they should be, especially the poor and the disadvantaged and all over the world. But
Yeah.
it felt like a time of hope.
Yeah.
That we could grow into something. It was the predecessor to Barack Obama. And Barack Obama's not the 90s, right? He's 2000. But that sense, it wouldn't be a show or anything. It was just that sense of hope.
Yeah.
Where we had the possibility of doing maybe good or better things. And I love feeling that feeling. And that's what I'd love to bring back. I know that's kind of altruistic and above a standard grade of like, bring back the Taco Bell Chihuahua, you know? But I kind of miss that sense of hope that we had in the early 90s. I thought it felt good, you know?
It did
Things
feel
were-
good.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'm not going to pretend that it was great for the whole world, but for where I was, for where we were as a country, it kind of felt like we could do some really good things. And who knows, that could come back again. So I would ask for that feeling to come back. And especially now, you know, hopefully we can heal, do the right thing. You know, that's always our hope. So that's where I am. I'm going to say that's what I would ask for, that spirit of hope and doing good things.
Yeah.
Be vague.
I love that, man. I love that. There was like a sense of happiness of like all these cool new things were happening and
Pagers, cell phones.
yeah. Big advances in technology. And
Yeah.
for that reason, I think our rapid advances, and as a kid, you know, I was born in 89 and so I'm a 90s kid, and
Yeah.
having that childhood in that era, obviously I can't because I don't know what it feels like to have a childhood now, but it just, when you observe things with nieces and nephews and stuff like that, you're like, man, I'm glad I had the childhood that I had, you know?
Yeah. I kind of wish that we would have stuck to inventing really good flip phones
Right.
where you could text and maybe send photos, but never turned into smartphones. Because
Yeah.
while I love TikTok and I can doom scroll like anybody's business, right?
Sure.
Like anybody else,
Yeah.
I just felt like I wish it never got that far because people are so mean
Right.
and so attacking all the time. It was great when you had a pager and it would go off. And if you go to a payphone and call because your pager went off, but then if you had a flip phone, you could talk to people. And I know Wally Wingert still only has his flip phone. He buys
Wow.
a flip, and I think that's smart.
Good for him.
So yeah, because we're so how many likes do I have? You know, it's a necessary tool for our business. We want to attract a following, and
Sure.
so there's some good stuff. But yeah, the '90s was like, wow. There's these Nokia phones that flip and you can actually call on them. They're not the big walkie-talkies anymore.
Yeah.
You put them in your pocket. That was pretty amazing.
And also there's no cooler way to hang up on somebody than slamming a flip phone shut.
Yeah, slap. Yeah, it's like Scotty, phasers up. Yeah, so that time, you know, Christmas and the holidays and Ramadan and Hanukkah and all these holidays inspire that kind of hope, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully, I don't know. You're just waiting for some being, some intelligence to come on down and show us what's relative and what's important. There's always that chance, right? There's always that 90s chance that it'll come back like the 90s. So
Sure is, man.
We'll see.
Carlos, from the bottom of my heart, man, let me say thank you not only for being so gracious with your time today, but also for creating these memories that are so near and dear to all of our hearts.
thank you, Tenn, and I appreciate all your research and all your, knowledge of what I've done. Some things that I've forgotten, and it's kind of wonderful when you have a host that just has that much information. It's like I feel like I'm testifying. I think you're asking too many questions. Okay, he knows too much. I'm taking the fifth.
Yeah, and You know, everybody try to be nice to each other. That's all I got to say, all right? Take care of each other. Raj, you're looking beautiful today. Did I say that?
Wonderful parting words.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tenn. I really appreciate it. And folks, watch his show. I'll spread the news. You let me know, and I'll tell people to watch your show and get out there and enjoy the wonderful interviews that you have going.
And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'm all grown up.
SYKE.
Oh my God. Legendary.
I'm all grown up.